Hello, Pastor Ronald Richardson with New Horizon Missionary Baptist Church, again with our daily devotional. Again, I always like to find me a word that encourages me and that will help me as I start my day to keep God before me. Our devotional today, let me call it constant care. Focusing in on the constant care of our God. The Bible says, cast all your cares upon me, for I care about you, is what God says to us. But I like to look at it from the backdrop of a Psalm of David. Psalms 54:4 says, behold, God is my helper. I was reading a poem that kind of captivated this psalm. The poem said, yesterday God helped me. Today he'll do the same. How long will this continue? Forever praise his name. That really captures this 54 number of Psalms, helping us to understand how God cares for us. One of the many problems that we face as human beings is we have a malfunction in our memory. Too often we remember what we're supposed to forget and forget what we should remember. We ought to take time out to ask God to give us a good memory when it comes to the help that he has given us in the past. Sometimes we think God has left us. God has taken care of us to this hour, and he's never going to forsake us. We have to sometimes do and remember like Moses told the children of Israel when they were preparing to go into the promised land. And Moses said it like this, thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God had led thee. He said you were hungry and God gave you food. You were thirsty and God gave you water. You were attacked by the enemy and God gave you victory. You sinned and God gave you forgiveness. Moses wanted them to remember that there was no situation too hard for God. Isaiah said it like this, when we go through the fire, he's there. And he's with us just like the three Hebrew boys when they were in Babylon. He said when we go through the waters, he's there, just like he was with the disciples in the storm on Galilee. Yes, even when we go through the valley of the shadow of death, God is with us. He'll never leave us nor forsake us. We can count on the constant care of our God. But the enemy wants us to think that God doesn't care about us. As a matter of fact, sometimes he tricks us into believing things like, if God really loved you, why would we be suffering through the coronavirus? Where is God now with corona going on? Corona got more power than God, and sometimes that makes us believe things like, we get an idea that when life is easy, God is with us, but when life is hard, God has forsaken us. And when the truth of the matter is, it's really just the opposite. When things are hard, that's when God is with us the most. Here's something that I read from, they gave the credit to a wise man, but all wisdom comes from God. So we know God put this in the heart and the mind of somebody, and they penned it. They said it like this: never doubt in the darkness what God told you in the light. And that's what I want to leave us with today. We may be going through a dark time right now, but when we were going through the light, when things were well in America, in this world, God loved us. And even now, during a time of tragedy, during a time of death, during a time of bereavement, during a time of sickness like never before, during a trying time across this world, please believe me when I tell you that God sometimes won't move stones from our path, but what he will do is command his angels so that we won't stumble over them. Don't let Corona trip you up. God cares for you. You can count on the constant care of our God. Be blessed.